Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? Quick little check just to make sure. Is everything coming in? Can everyone hear me okay? I'll quickly check the chat here. If you can hear me all right, just give a quick hello. And the reason I ask is because, as I mentioned yesterday, um, this is like, it's been a long time since. Hello, Linda. Can you hear me okay? It's been a long time since I did a live, except for yesterday. So I'm kind of like in this mindset of like making sure people can hear me. The audio's good, the microphone's good, perfect. Um, Welcome everybody. It's so good to see you again. Thank you for everybody who's here right now. Um, anyone that was here yesterday, obviously this is going to be a different live. We're going to cover different methods, answer different questions, follow the energy, and see where things go. Hey, Beatrice, good to see you. Good to see you, Valina. Good to see Lurleen. Oh, notice I'm calling people out here. Also, Kelly. Like I said yesterday, I'm not the best multitasker in the world. So if I miss your message, apologies. I'm going to miss a lot of them, but I'm sure super chats will pop up. And if there are any questions that you ask that I miss, you email me. It's kind of funny. Again, first live in 4 years yesterday. And I caught most of the stuff, but at the end, people were like, "When's the next live? What time is it?" And I didn't see. I'm just like rambling on, where they're like, "What time?" And there's like all these question marks from one of the commenters. It was really funny. Um, so hopefully I won't miss anything really important here. Um, Today, there's so much, yesterday was kind of like this loose, just follow things. I thought I was going to go an hour. I only went like 49 minutes or 45 minutes or something like that. This is definitely denser because this time I actually asked for questions and I got a few, and there's still methods that I want to teach. There's so much here. So without wasting any more time, let's dive in here. I've got a whole bunch of notes. You're closer to manifesting than you actually realize. You're way closer than you think. And it's one of those things where there's a lot of concepts that are rolling around that type of situation. Obviously, we have the concept of manifesting on easy mode, which is what I went into yesterday. And we'll put it this way: in on theme with the idea that you can manifest on easy mode, I want to begin by saying that there are no actual real hoops for you to jump through other than those hoops that you make for yourself. And it's one of those things where, people learn about the law of attraction, they learn about the power of their thoughts, they learn about, oh, this is something where I can actually change my life, and this is where I can control my life. I can control all these outcomes. I can change everything. I can make everything different. The negative will vanish, the positive will be here. And obviously, you hear something like that and there's a competing outdated vibration, a vibrational frequency that's still within you. There's all these other things that are going on, and you reach too far too fast, and things don't happen right away. It's very easy to lose trust, lose patience, say this thing doesn't work, and kind of move on. And you're also kind of coming in with this preconceived notion about the way things work in life, where you have to jump through hoops and you have to you check certain boxes and you have to go past certain hurdles and you have to bust through walls and all these different things. And the thing about the law of attraction is, putting it simply, this is just about feeling good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both, and nothing else. Because when you do that, when you're not worried, when you're not forcing things, when you're not trying to shoehorn a certain result or a certain idea, this is where and when that there is space for things to actually happen. And the hoops that we put in front of ourselves are rough. We tell ourselves, "Oh, this is going to take at least X number of days, or this is going to take years, or in order for this to happen, this other thing has to happen first. I have to completely shift my entire belief system." We'll talk about that later. You don't have to shift your entire belief system. You don't have to talk yourself into a completely new paradigm of life, shoehorning it and forcing it out of the blue. You don't have to do that, and it's a good thing too, because I've tried that in the past. It is not fun. It is a very, very discouraging process to be told that you have to change your belief set, and it has to go from this thing to this thing in order for things to happen. It's a very frustrating process to use affirmations and to keep telling myself something when I know it's a lie, when it feels like a lie, when I'm just reinforcing inadvertently how much of a lie this thing really is, where I'm putting in these hoops in front of myself. But there are no hoops to jump through other than the ones that you put in front of yourself, other than the assumptions that you make, the preconceived notions, the lack of patience, the the lack of experience with this, the lack of just going through an experiential process and making it happen. So let's begin with one of the emails I got. So I recently got an email, in preparation for me recording this, and it was from Hans. And I know I just answered a question from Hans. It was a follow up. He said, thanking me for my last answer, and he writes, "I appreciate it. The explanation that you gave for me last time is completely clear. Rest of the stream was awesome. You're excellent at presenting live. I really like the paint method. Visualizing colors works really well for me, so I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I wish I had something to share with you that you can actually use for material. Actually, now that I think about it, there's one thing. It's for people who are about to give up, thinking that it doesn't work. In my experience, that is the exact moment to keep doing the 5 minutes a day, even if nothing happens for a while. Still, it's after that phase that it does start to work. At least that's my experience. And something tells me it's a common experience and also why some people fail. All they needed to do was keep having those 5 minutes of fun each day. So, Hans is bringing up a really important point on how people will just give up. And the reason that they give up is because, from my perspective and in my experience, they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. It seems like the right reasons, it's the wrong ones. And what people will do is they'll sit down and they'll visualize and they'll feel good while thinking about what they have or want or both, because they're doing that in order to get this specific result. They're feeling good in order to get the money. They're feeling good in order to get the relationship. They're feeling good in order to improve their health, to get the promotion, to get their new boost in their business, to make that connection, whatever it might be. And when you're feeling good for the purpose of this external thing, what you're inadvertently realize it is you're reinforcing the reality and the perspective and the paradigm that you don't have it. Otherwise, why would you be doing this thing to get this thing? You're engaging in this way of like, oh, I have to do this to get the money. That's screaming energetically, vibrationally to the universe that you don't have the money yet. And that's the problem. To which you might say, Andrew, well, thanks, but what else am I going to be doing this for? What's your answer? What's the solution? And the answer is knowing that the universe already knows what you want, knowing that you go through this process of thinking about these things and that you engage in this thought and that you have these desires and you've already experienced it. You want to feel good for the sake of feeling good, which is another way of saying the reason people do this 5 minutes a day, and if they don't get a fast enough result or a good enough result in the right time, the reason they quit is because they don't actually feel good. They're not actually enjoying it. The whole key to this is that these 5 minutes a day, in and of themselves, regardless of any result that may or may not come, those 5 minutes have to be a pleasant experience. They have to be enjoyable. They have to be a nice break from the monotony of your day. They have to be a nice break from whatever emotional negativity, whatever you're going through. You're doom scrolling. You're going through your feed. You're reading all this bad news. You're seeing all these bad perspectives. You're seeing people that they're all into these situations. And when in a situation like that, you just it's not a winnable situation. Kelly, thank you so much for that. Feel good, just feel good, exactly like you just said in the chat here. So when you can say, okay, I have this method and it feels this certain way, and it's enjoyable enough that I actually look forward to doing this, then of course you're going to engage in those 5 minutes, because you're no longer keeping score and looking at the calendar and asking yourself, well, where is this money? And where's this relationship? Where's this soulmate? Where's this thing? Where's this that? When you're not doing that, and you're just having fun, that's where you've kind of like opened the door, or you open the window to let things happen. And it's a little frustrating to hear that, because without having the stuff yet, it's very hard for certain people to be content, to feel good. But it's one of those catch 22s where the trick to doing this is giving yourself permission. And you don't have to feel good all day. Anyone that watched my live yesterday saw where I did this whole thing where I went through all the math. It was yesterday's regular video, and it was yesterday's live where I went through all this mathematical proof for you, demonstrating how 5 minutes a day on a certain metric will be more than enough for no matter whatever you're feeling on that other part. So this isn't saying just be okay that the money isn't here all day. It's just saying be okay with it for 5 minutes. Engage in this process and love it and like it enough where you know you're doing well for yourself. And this kind of segues me into the next question where someone brought me. So, dear Andrew, thank you for offering these live sessions. They are truly valuable. I have one question I'd love to hear your thoughts on. When working toward a really big manifestation, how do you personally stay motivated and persistent if it takes years to arrive? From your experience, how do you keep your vibration strong and avoid slipping into doubt or losing momentum while waiting? With gratitude, Jev. So, again, the reason I group these questions together is it really is the same thing. It's not even about staying motivated. It's not about committing to like it's been 5 years and I'm just going to hold on for dear life. It should never feel like you're holding on for dear life when you're actually doing that manifesting method for those 5 minutes a day. Now, maybe it'll feel a little impatient other parts of the day, but for that specific point, you are intentionally casting everything else aside and you are giving yourself this really precious gift of actually experiencing positive emotions. And it's one of those things where we want to leverage as much power into this that we can. So when something is taking years, again, we hate hearing this. We hate this catch 22. If you're thinking about it day after day for years, for years, for years, you are holding it back to a certain extent because you keep reinforcing the idea that you don't have it. And it's not, and it's, of course you are. It's right there in front of you. Like you don't have that house yet, or you don't have that job yet, or whatever it might be. It's one of those things where you have to almost embrace the idea and the recognition that something that isn't there yet, there's a purpose. On one end, it might be where you just have to give yourself the space to let the universe do its thing. You also going to want to kind of like listen within. Is there a certain nudge that you're getting, a certain inspired action you want to take? Sometimes people they'll want a new job and they'll work really hard at manifesting, and they'll focus and they'll do all these things and they'll wait for universe to act, but also then they won't go on in job sites. They won't answer an email. They won't go on an interview. Like there's got to be a certain process of engagement. You're not going to do it out of lack. If you feel lackful and you feel like you're forcing it, that's one thing. But if you've got a nudge to take action, don't start misinterpreting law of attraction books and start saying, oh, I know I have this nudge to take action, but that would be telling the universe that I don't trust the universe. And I don't want to tell the universe I don't trust the universe because then the universe won't give me what I want. It's like, no, this is a cooperative thing. You are in a physical 3D reality here. So this is just a combination of when you don't have that thing yet, how do you have gratitude for the things that you do have? If you don't have the new car, how do you have gratitude for the current mode of transportation that's serving you? If you don't have the promotion yet, how do you still make sure to have at least gratitude for the paycheck that you do have, for putting food on the table? You don't have the love of your life yet. How do you have gratitude for the fact that you have a capacity for this, that you are embracing this, and that when you finally connect with this person, you and them are each individually going to be bringing so much to the table and so much to this process and so much to this connection with each other that it's going to be worth it. And you know, someone there literally might be someone who's caught in a bad relationship and they don't know how to get out yet, and they need another 6 months to figure it out. And if you can just say, all right, listen, the love of my life is working through something now, and they need this space, and they need it not only to so that they can never be held back by that person ever again, and they could never be stuck with them and thinking about them, but also so that they'll have even more of a gratitude for me when they meet me. Like there are so many different pieces of this going on. JStar, how do I get the Just Feel Good book? It's on Amazon. You can go to andrewcap.com and there's an easy link right there, or you just go on Amazon and look for it. It's also on Audible, and the audio version is also on Apple Books. So thank you for asking. Um, oh, thank you, Yazan. Wow, I appreciate that. Um, so, so where I'm going with this really is it's about having a recognition that if something is taking longer, there's a purpose behind it. There's a reason. I actually changed what I was wearing today. I was wearing this shirt that said create a life that you love. And it's a really cool shirt. It's from this thing that I went to like 10 years ago with all these different entrepreneurs. It's not very flattering. So I was like, I won't wear it for my second live. But I was thinking about sharing the story because when I was at that event, for some reason, I really like impressed the hosts. And they had like these awards at the end of the event. And I got this like most likely to achieve this specific success metric. I forgot what the metric was specifically, But what I do remember is that I'm not the one that did it first. This other person who definitely deserved it because she was phenomenal. She was amazing. She hit her success metric long before I did. But that metric, whatever it was, like, I don't even remember because the number, I surpassed over the next 3 or 4 years, I remember surpassing it. I remember going so far above and beyond it that it didn't matter that I wasn't first. It didn't matter that I lived up to that award. And it's one of those things where those years that unfolded and as they followed, so many amazing things happened. Because I had to wait a little longer, I ended up connecting with different people that to this day still make a dramatic impact in my life. You know, the person I spoke about yesterday, where I do my daily method, the Buddy Blitz method, which maybe we'll talk about a little bit more. I met him at the event that I was going to wear the shirt for. And I met all these other people in time to follow. And if I'd gotten that success metric that that other person got first, if I'd hit that, I would not have gone down these different roads and down these different ways that really take things what I'm doing today to a much higher level. And I want you to have that perspective again. Like, how do you stay motivated when it's taking for years? Well, one, you got to enjoy life to whatever measure you can in the moment. Don't wait to be happy. It's like, I know you want the house to be happy first. I know you want the money to be first. Like, listen, you have air in your lungs. You could meet someone cool, whether it's romantic related or not. You can meet somebody anytime. Like, anything could happen at any moment. You have to, like, life is, it's so short. It really is. You've got to say, listen, even though I don't have all the things I want yet, I have to find ways of enjoying life now. It has to be a fruitful journey. It has to be a fruitful experience. And I realize some of your problems, they're not fun to deal with. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm saying that in spite of them, it's on you. You have a responsibility and an obligation to yourself to do whatever you can to connect with the friends that you have, to take a breather. If you can't afford an expensive vacation, go to a local park, go to a local beach, just take a walk out, like, do whatever you can. If, as long as it's not compromising your health, treat yourself to certain foods that just they feel good to eat and that they're enjoyable. Do whatever you have to do. So you enjoy life in the meantime. And also you understand, like, these 5 minutes a day that I'm feeling good, I'm doing it for the sake of feeling good. I'm doing it to break up the monotony and the pattern of whatever negativity I was, around just before and what I might be around after. You have someone wrote in, I took care of, I answered her email to me yesterday where she's dealing with disrespect at home and at work. So it's coming from all sides. And a huge piece is like, okay, in the midst of that, just as a strategic way of engaging the universe, like, we're strategically speaking here, we're not just doing something for the sake of it. How can you engage with the universe and say, I'm going to take 5 minutes away from these disrespectful people or whatever other problems you've got going on to just feel good? Because not only does it feel good, but I know enough now, I've learned enough now to know that it's a strategically advantageous thing to do from a vibrational frequency standpoint. And, part of this, and this kind of like brings me to my next point. Again, we want to manifest on easy mode. Part of this is you want to remove any concern that makes it more difficult or complicated than it needs to be. You want to remove any concern that makes it more difficult or complicated than it needs to be. It really is that like it's and when I say you want to remove the concerns, those concerns include, like, how fast is this going to happen? When's it going to happen? How is it going to happen? If this other thing doesn't happen, can this still happen? What if this person isn't on board? What if my family isn't on board? What if my spouse isn't on board? Like, what if my life changes too much that I have to move someplace else? Like, what if I'm inadvertently like creating changes that I can't keep up with? Like, all these things, these what ifs, these worries, like, for me, I've been through all this. I have gotten in my own way, probably more than anyone I've ever met. I mean, it's easy to say. It always feels like, from our own perspective, like we're the worst at it. But I am so well experienced at getting in my own way. I know all the nonsense, all the BS I kind of used to throw in my path. So I know what it looks like when I'm putting in this concern that doesn't actually have real validity and it doesn't actually exist other than the validation and the energy, the creative energy that I'm giving it. So it's very important. Like, And this kind of goes back to, whenever I tell people about like when I finally figured this out, when I finally figured it out, I say it in interviews all the time. I was at a point where so much of my life had kind of like gone downhill. I had this moment of indignation where I'm like, I don't care what happens. I don't care when it happens. I don't care how it happens. I don't even care why it happens. All I know is I'm going to go all in every day with this law of attraction thing. I'm going to go. And when I say all in, I don't mean all day, every day, because I know enough about myself to realize that that's just not sustainable. It's not sustainable to have a smile on your face all day, every day. If you feel like you're lying to yourself, listen, even smiling can hurt after a while, but it is sustainable. It is doable. It is achievable to take 5 or even 10 minutes out every single day and say, listen, not only am I not going to be deterred by failure, but I'm not going to be deterred by success, because that's another trick to all this that your ego likes to throw into you. You might have gone through this already. I know I went through it. You might have a situation where you start doing this, you do it for 2 or 3 weeks, and really cool things, little cool coincidences, little raindrops, like I talk about in my book, little raindrops start to fall. And you're like, oh, I got this. And there's like this drop of commitment where you take your foot off the gas and you skip a day, and then you do another day, and then you skip 2 days, and then you do half a day, and then you skip a week, and before you know it, you're out of it. I was this refusal to quit. It was saying, "I'm not being deterred by anything. No success, no failure, no nothing. I don't care if something takes 10 years. It's not about that." Because I had known at that point that whenever I was doing this thing, things would start to happen until I stopped doing it. And I was just fed up. I was done with it. And fortunately for me, I kind of have that personality. I'm a little gritty in that way where it's like I would literally this was like I don't know, close to 20 years ago at this it was at least 16 or 17 years ago. I would literally still be doing it today if nothing still happened. I am that stubborn. I am that I am that way. I'm lucky in that way. I'm fortunate that way. But it's really something where you've got to notice when things are happening, you got to follow through. And I'll tell you, I remember years back while I was still trying to figure it out, it was the silly stuff that kind of gave me an indicator that things were happening the right way. So, one of the funniest things that happened, and I don't know if I've ever expressed this. I don't know if I've ever told anybody about this, but I was working this job while I was like experimenting with this and figuring it out. And I had kind of moved up enough in the job where like they trusted me. They gave me like a company credit card, like all this different stuff. And me and colleagues, we used to go out for like dinner or drinks afterwards. And there was this one colleague, he was always trying to get me to use the company card to pay for food and drinks. He's like, oh, the boss trusts you, you just tell him it's a company expense. Like, and I wasn't going to put myself in that position, but it was so funny. He was always trying to get me to like pay for this stuff. Not myself. He wanted me to use like the company card. And I remember randomly while I was doing like this experiment, at this point, it's just an experiment of feeling gratitude for a few minutes a day. He randomly just decided to treat me to lunch. He just like here, it's like here, dude, and it wasn't like an ulterior motive because he never asked me for something after that. He never brought it up again. He just treated me to lunch, and like I sound kind of cruel when I say this, but if this cheapskate out of the blue has been inspired by the ether to buy me lunch out of the blue when I'm not spending any of the company card from or anything like that, I'm like, okay, that's a raindrop. That's really something. Um, so that's all I gotta say. Dirk, do me a favor, Dirk, email me that question. Send me the email so I can reply to you personally for that. Um, and so where was I on this? So I was noticing those kinds of silly raindrops. And the reason I bring up that story and I give you that is because you might have some silly stuff like this that you're not acknowledging. And therefore, if you're not acknowledging it, then you're not using that as fuel and motivation to keep going with it. And then you're letting hesitation and fear and uncertainty and doubt fester when it doesn't need to. Again, this is just about, listen, I'm going to feel good while thinking about what I have or want or both. I'm going to feel good for the sake of feeling good in the moment. I'm going to follow my gut when I'm supposed to take action. I'm just going to kind of like breeze through this and watch this emerge, watch this develop, watch this kind of go that way. Um, by the way, I know I just answered Dirk. I don't even know why I was called to like look at his message. Again, if anyone's asking me questions and I'm not replying to you, you can always email me after this. Um, okay. So another piece I want to dive in just because it was important on yesterday's live, someone had asked, how do you detach from an outcome when you're thinking about it all the time? And she expressed like, she knows it's hers all the, she knows it's hers, and yet she doesn't know how to stop thinking about it. And I remember I kind of asked her for more information, and she didn't give it to me right away, or she did, and I didn't see the chat, so I had her email me, and she said, I followed up by saying that I'm creating resistance by continually thinking about my desire almost obsessively, even though I'm certain beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's mine. I wish there was a switch in my brain that I can affirm and do affirmations all along, or, that's kind of the direction she was going in. And reading that reply, reading between the lines, it kind of seems like when she says that she's obsessively thinking about it, that there, even though she's sure it's happening, it's almost as if she thinks there's some kind of level of doubt or concern in the moment. I don't know if she's worried, and I never got this clarification. I don't know if she's worried that she's telling the universe that she doesn't trust it by continually thinking about it or continually stressing or anything like that. But it sounds like it's like she can't get this thing out of her mind, and maybe there's a regret of it not coming yet, or a fear of missing out, or something like that. To which I say, these are the types of hurdles that we inadvertently put in our own way. Meaning, one thing that we can do to serve ourselves is find creative ways of getting around that. So, for example, if I'm in this specific situation and I understand that this is about feeling good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both, I'm going to ask myself, like, if this is obsessively happening, how can I use it to my advantage? And I remember, I also brought this up on yesterday's live. I was talking about the discount trigger method. I was talking about the situation where if there's something negative that keeps happening in your life, pre-plan for it. Knowing ahead of time that something is going to happen that's going to upset you. Plan a thought that you're going to have that you're going to engage in, so that you're putting out more good than bad. Again, yesterday's live, I explained how much more powerful positive thoughts were than negative ones. So imagine you get a negative thought, you use it as your reminder to think a positive thought, and in the race between manifesting good and bad, you're putting good in the lead. So in this kind of situation, knowing she thinks about this obsessively all the time, I might think about a good thought that has nothing to do with this. That when it comes through, I'm like, oh, this is my reminder to think that thought. I'm doing a benefit. But you can also kind of go the direction of the time lapse method. Anyone that's read my book that knows about the time lapse method, where you're intermingling your gratitude for past things, present things, and future things. And the reason that you're writing out different thoughts and having gratitude for them is because the past and present things have already occurred. So they have a level of realism to you that makes your gratitude for them that much more powerful. So we as humans, we don't psychologically downshift very easily. So if you're having gratitude for these past things and you're having gratitude for these present things, and then you're thinking about these future things also, the gratitude and the certainty for the past and present carry over into that. So, with that kind of idea in mind, if I'm obsessively thinking about some kind of result that's not there yet, and I know it's happening and I know it's not good, whenever it comes in my mind, I'm going to have pre planned things that I'm grateful for from my past and present to think right away afterwards, because I'm anchoring this future thing to these things that already happened that have a level of certainty and gratitude and appreciation. So, whatever, this person, like whatever negativity, whatever blocks to your progress you think you were installing with your constant thinking about this, use the constant thinking to your advantage strategically. Think about these past or present things in a time lapse style along with it. And again, before you know it, you're just embedding this level of certainty. You're embedding this level of appreciation. You're also dissolving whatever concerns you had about this, which again is raising your vibration. And that's kind of like getting you where you need to go. And you'll notice that again, I'm a strategy guy. I'm always about like what could we do, what could we do strategically, like knowing about the way we get in our own way, knowing about the hurdles that we put in our own path. What can you strategically do? Use your human nature to your advantage. If you are an compulsive person, you use that to your advantage. If you worry a lot, use that to your advantage. If you obsessively think about something, use that to your advantage. If you don't obsessively think of something, use that. So with this in mind, we're a half hour in. So I promised you methods, right? So I want to introduce a new method to you here. And this method, it's really interesting because I only recommend using this method when you specifically feel or are worried that you are blocked in some way, because it involves visualizing a block and you don't want to make up a block that isn't there just to do this because you have so many other methods. But if you feel blocked off, if you like something is holding you back, this method, I call it, I just named it this morning. It's the Faucet frequency refresher method. I'll say that again. It's a twister. Faucet frequency refresh. Oh, sorry. Faucet frequency freshener method. I call it the faucet frequency freshener method because you will basically, again, human nature, right? What do we do every day? We brush our teeth every day. We put our shoes on before we go out every day. We take showers or baths every day, right? Using your human nature to your advantage. If you're feeling blocked, whether you're in a bath or even more easily if you're in a shower, what a really good trick to do here is you want to envision whatever these blocks that are holding you back. And you might see them as black waves of energy or dark waves of energy. You might see them as walls. Who knows how they visually like automatically come through instinct. Don't look for don't try to come up with the perfect thing. Just go with whatever kind of naturally comes to mind. And if nothing comes to mind, then use these waves, these frequencies, right? You want to envision these blocks, these blocks to abundance being washed away from the stream of the shower. It's like if you're going to shower every day anyway, you might as well use it as an excuse to have this really healthy, really fun visualization. Imagine like all the blocks, all the nonsense, all the ways that you're blocking your own path, all the invisible barriers that you don't know or you think don't know how to access. It's just about feeling good and they dissolve on their own. All these things when you're in the shower or you're in the bath, just envision the water just like rinsing and gently just moving it away. Just the flow is just you're not even doing anything. You don't even have to scrub. The water is doing the work for you. The water is doing the heavy lifting for you. The gravity is doing the heavy lifting for you in the sense of the shower. It's pushing the water and the water's pushing it away. Again, we want these really healthy, fun visualizations that feel easy, that feel natural. And obviously, you're talking about a shower, like you're cleansing, you're cleansing your vibration, you're cleansing your frequency. So the next time something feels like it's taking too long, or you're impatient, or you feel like you're blocked, or you're obsessively thinking about this thing and you're thinking that's holding things off, use again my tongue twister, the faucet frequency freshener method, because hopefully this one will be like a really fun one that will take things to a really good level for you. Okay, so another question I got from someone. I got a whole thing for you here. I really prepped. Yesterday was more like free flowing. I prepped a lot of stuff here because I really wanted to make sure that it was different and had some new stuff. So someone else sent in a question yesterday that said, "Today, as in yesterday, was great. I enjoyed it. I don't know if this will be applicable for manifestations, but either way, that said, with the state of the world today, can we apply the same principles for that as well? Also, do my visualizations and meditations for bedtime? Doesn't matter what time of day we do that, etc." Okay, to answer the last question first, it doesn't matter what time you do this. It doesn't matter whether it's the morning or evening. What does matter is that it's a time that, oh, Valina, thank you so much. All that matters is that the time of day works for you. All that matters is that it's convenient for you. All that matters is that it fits into your schedule. I have no requirement assigned to if this has to be in the morning or the evening. I have a really busy day. Again, and I don't know if I spoke about it so much yesterday, the buddy blitz method. I leave messages to my friend. I don't have a set time of day that I do that for him. I don't have a set time of day that I talk about all the things I'm grateful for before sending in that message. All that matters is that a time for you that works for you that doesn't have to be the same thing, that you do it. Now, getting back to your other question, is this applicable for, the state of the world? Do these same principles apply? And I'm going to interpret your question and I'm hopefully going to accurately interpret it. It sounds to me like you're asking if this manifestation method work can be used to improve other people's lives or the state of the world or other conditions outside of yourself. Can it be used to get good results in the world around you? And if that is your question, The answer is yes or no, and I want to be really careful about how I say this because this can take a lot of different directions, and if we're not careful, it gets off we get off out into the weeds. And you know me, I'm really big on just always making this really simple, really basic, so that we can just user friendly, easy to implement, do this thing, get that thing, and we're good, right? So this is just a theory. Think of it as in like we are in a shared grid of mass consciousness while simultaneously like uniquely experience it. We are simultaneously uniquely experiencing this shared grid. So there's a mass consciousness element that we are all participating in. Now, what's the reason for that? Well, that gets into whole, I don't know if that gets into religious theory, that gets into spiritual theory, that gets into all these different things that doesn't change the fact that we're still here. So let's deal with us being here, right? We mostly affect just ourselves, but you can still be a contributing factor, especially with those across the world who are aligned with you in shifting the energy and direction of the mass consciousness experience, therefore, in the mass state of the world around you. Let me put this in a conceptual way that hopefully makes more sense and makes it easier. And I know not everyone's sports fans. I don't follow much anymore myself, but everyone knows about the NBA, and people probably have heard of Steph Curry, really popular basketball player for the Golden State Warriors. So the NBA, think of the basketball court. That's like this shared mass consciousness experience. It doesn't matter whether it's Steph Curry, it doesn't matter whether it's LeBron James, it doesn't matter if it's in the past and it was like Jordan. It was Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson or Larry Bird. Doesn't matter. Every basketball floor on a professional court level is hardwood floor. This is a mass consciousness, thing that everyone associates, like everyone is on that hardwood floor. Everyone is operating under the rules that you have to dribble the basketball. Everyone is operating that the basket is the goal and that there's two on each side and that there's five players per court. There are these rules, these agreed upon rules and standards that are common for everyone on a mass consciousness level. But by that same token, the reason I brought up Steph Curry is Steph Curry actually influenced the entire league and the way the game of professional basketball is played because he had, and I guess still has, I think he's still playing, he had such an accurate shot, an accurate 3-point shot, that he would change the way things were, that the Golden State Warriors had this extra advantage because whenever he wanted to hit a three and get them more points, he could do it. And the NBA actually shifted. They shifted the way they play the game. They shifted the plays they drew. And a lot more teams started learning how to take threes and shooting threes. And a lot more players started shooting longer threes. They wouldn't even go to the 3-point line, the closest possible point to get the most accurate shot. They were learning how to shoot from further away so that they would have uncontested shots. So here's Steph Curry in this mass consciousness arena, and he's changing and dictating the way the whole thing actually goes. And he's getting these other people involved that are also contributing to the change. So it went from one person kind of making people nudge in that direction to this just being the way the NBA is now. Now, can you do, and I'm going to say this very carefully, can you do a bigger shift? Can you turn the basketball court into a football field? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. I would only say this from your perspective. If you were worried about you and you're doing your part for you and you're feeling good about the state of the world and maybe visualizing things without a requirement, need, or an expectation, without putting extra pressure on yourself in order to try to make the world change, but just being open to it, it's possible I'll just say possible, that you may just find yourself waking up in a new better world that is exactly the way you want it to be. I'm not saying it's going to happen, and if it is going to happen, I'm not saying how it's going to happen. I'm just saying that the best and healthiest thing that you can do, from in my perspective, in my opinion, from a law of attraction, vibrational frequency, manifestation standpoint, is just feeling good to whatever measure you can about yourself, about your life, about things that are on the way, about things that you have. And if you can envision ways of the world being that make you feel abundance rather than making you feel lack, it could only do better versus doing good. So feel free to even experiment with that and see where that goes. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we got a latecomer. That's okay. There's going to be a replay on this, so you'll be able to get to see the beginning, and you missed a lot of cool stuff. J Star, Email me regarding private one-on-ones. Feel free to email me. I will say this: I do them much less frequently these days, just because I'm so busy. I don't advertise or market myself, and the reason I don't do it, and I don't want to throw shade on anyone that does this, but the whole goal of the book and the whole goal of the YouTube channel and all these things is that, like, if I could benefit, if I can give you a boost, awesome. But I'm hoping this content is in and of itself enough. So, I mean, if you want to ask me about that, feel free to email me. But it's not something like I don't market myself. I don't do big events or anything like that. I just, if people ask me for it, I see if I can work with them, but I don't force it. Um, oh, hey, Lori, what's up? It's so good to see you also. Hopefully, you'll see more of this. Really cool. Okay, so jumping in, more value for you here. I got more questions. Um, Pam, she wrote, Andrew, great videos. This is important. This is a good question. How do I deal with a person that is totally clueless about the law of attraction and doesn't even want to have an open mind about it? This person is negative and thinks I live in a fantasy world. I use the energy change when I'm around this. I feel the energy change when I'm around this person. Unfortunately, this person lives under my roof, so I can't just end the relationship. But my manifestations are obvious to him. Thanks in advance. Okay, this is an interesting challenge, right? We've got someone where they're on board, they're actually things are actually shifting for them, and yet they've got this person and this this person in their energetic space that's just so not on board with it. And there's a couple of perspectives on this. And it reminds me, I'm like a professional wrestling fan. Like I follow that stuff. And there's this professional wrestler, his name is Matt Cardona. He used to be in WWE. He was known as Zack Ryder back then. He's an independent wrestler right now. And he's an interesting story because he doesn't work for WWE anymore, which is like the biggest company with the most money. He's making a lot more money right now. He's making money from wrestling independently. He has a toy company that he started, and he has all these other products, and he has merchandise. He has all these things. The reason he started his toy company was because, like, he's a full-grown adult and he loves toys. He loves action figures. He loves wrestling action figures. That's his thing. And he's married to another professional wrestler. He's married to this amazing wrestler. Her name is Chelsea Green. And it's funny to see them in videos because he's collecting toys, and you can tell that she's not about that. For her, it's such a silly hobby. It's just a silly habit. And here's this grown man, this muscular man, who's not too embarrassed to say that he collects toys. And he approaches this with just a level of humor, like where he jokes, like, "Oh, wait till she sees what I bought now," and he shows it to her, and it's so funny to see videos where, like, he shows her a new figure and she rolls her eyes, and she still loves him. She loves, and I'm sure this person obviously loves Pam also, but just isn't on board with this. So in a situation, the reason I bring up that story is because it doesn't matter whether it's toys or comic books or baseball cards or stamps or the law of attraction or anything that someone else might find as a silly thing or just as nonsense or whatever. You want to remind yourself that their negative attitude around the thing doesn't necessarily have to get in the way of your manifestations. In fact, it's almost like you're in the middle of a sitcom, like me, what I would strategically do if I'm with a person like that and I still want to be with them, I'm almost like strategically like looking at my life as a sitcom where, you know, depending on the vibe between you two, it might be a thing where you joke around whenever you get something, or it might be a thing where it's almost like an inside joke where you never even tell them about the manifestations. You never like you just keep getting it. And obviously they'll notice and it's what it is. And maybe they ask about it, maybe they don't. But this is my long-winded way of saying, like, if you're with this person and like it's clear that you're not going to talk them into it, all you can do is one, to the best of your ability. I know it's easier said than done. Have a sense of humor about it and be open to the possibility that they might come around, but also just remember that their doubting of it does not need to be in your way of happening this and of this happening. And think about it this way, every year there's a winner of a Super Bowl, but one of those teams has, actually both of those teams have a lot of doubters, a lot of people rooting against them, a lot of people thinking that it can't be done, but they win still, right? Which means if you have like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people thinking you can't do something and you still do it, There's no need, there's no reason why one person is going to prevent you from doing it, even if you're in that space. Have a sense of humor about it if you can. Look at it as a sitcom. It's kind of your own inside joke. Keep doing your thing, keep moving forward, keep enjoying the manifestations, and see where it evolves. And who knows, maybe one day you'll write a book about it, you know? Email me. We'll come up with a good title for you. But that's kind of my perspective on that. Thank you for everyone that's still commenting here. You guys are awesome. You really are. Um, Let me answer another email for you here. Um, this person said, "Hi, Andrew. First, let me say that I've been enjoying your videos lately. And second, I have two questions. One, how do you stay sane while getting through the news, while getting enough news to know what's going on in the world? I think it's important to know what's happening, but it either really upsets me or it makes me feel extremely helpless, or both. And two, how do you deal with social media? How do you scroll through your feed without getting distracted for a while about silly things that too many people say? People I follow aren't usually saying them, but there's comments and they're commenting on what something that other people said. I'm filtering, by the way, there's some language in the email. I don't know if I should say on a YouTube live, so I'm filtering in real time. It's usually not anything personally directed at me, but usually a whole group of people. And I may or may not belong to that group of people, but I sometimes feel compelled to defend said group of people or at least speak up. But there are some days that this just pulls me in, and I have a heck of a time trying to let go. I'll understand if you don't want to delve into one or both these subjects on a live video, but I'm hoping that if for any reason you don't answer them, that when you get a chance, reply this email." So this is from Christine. And by the way, I said this on yesterday's live. Part of the reason that I'm doing this live is I'm having, thank you for everyone emailing me. Please keep emailing me. But to be candid, I have trouble keeping up. It's a good problem. It's a high quality problem to have where so many people email you and so many people care enough to email you that you have trouble keeping up. So this live is my experimental way of saying, like, what's it like if I can interact with people in this way and answer this question for a bunch of people and maybe address something that they have going on? Also, I'm working on another thing where perhaps it's possible for me to actually be on these calls. Someone just asked about one-on-ones. I am trying to think about something where it's not necessarily one-on-one, but it's like one to group call. Um, Working that out. I mean, I just said it publicly live here. Hopefully I'll be able to follow through on that. We'll see. Time will tell. But let's get into these questions that Christine had left, and they're kind of similar. You know, she's looking at the world around her, and there's negativity, and she's looking at social media around her, and there's negativity, and it's one of those things where, you know, I'm a New Yorker, so anyone out in Boston, so, apologies if I say I'm a Yankees fan, or at least I used to be. I used to follow the Yankees and everything. My favorite player of all time is Derek Jeter. And the reason I'm such a fan of Derek Jeter, the player, I don't follow him as a person. I don't even know who he is as a person. The reason I was such a big fan of Jeter, the player, is he was successful for a very specific reason, a very specific purpose. And that's that he only worried about what he could control. He only, he couldn't control if someone out in the outfield is going to be making a play. He couldn't control if someone else is up at bat. He could only control where he was fielding the ball from his position. He could only control when he was at bat. He can only do those things. He never tried to do too much. And as somebody who never tried to do too much, I believe he's number 6 in all time on the hits list. He's definitely number 1 for the Yankees. And he had like such an incredible career. Like everyone, even people that don't like the Yankees, remember Derek Jeter. And this is the kind of perspective that you want to keep here. Like, listen, I get that you've got to keep apprised of the news and you got to keep apprised on social media. You've got to remember that some people, they're not on a level of consciousness that you are. Everyone, even if it seems hateful, they're doing the best they can do from their point and level of consciousness. They actually believe that they're right. Everyone that you disagree with, they think that they're the right one and they think they're the moral one. Like everyone, the villain in the story, not saying that these other people are the villain. I'm just saying the villain in every story, most of the time, even when they think they're the villain, even when they acknowledge they're the villain, they think that they're right. Everyone is operating on this level of consciousness. So for me, like I keep up with enough to know what's going on in the world. And I ask myself, is there anything constructive I can do here? I'm not a politician. I'm not a politics guy. I'm not going to go into that world. Um, that's a recipe for a lot of difficulty. For anyone that tries to do that, in my opinion. What can I do? Can I be constructive here? And all I can do is, in service to myself, feel good while thinking about what I have or what I want or both. But also then, to think about the state of the world, just as like that above question was asking, where I will visualize things getting better. I will visualize. I literally sometimes I I wish I could remember the person that I first learned this from, and I probably learned it from like 3 different people, 3 different sources, and this might be like an amalgam of that. So, I apologize. I don't wanna take credit for this because I don't think I probably modified some of it myself, but one meditation that I do for myself, actually, I think this one is mine. Who knows? A meditation that I do for myself is I envision the sun. I close my eyes and I envision the light of the sun. As I breathe in, it enters me. Sometimes it'll enter me through my solar plexus. Sometimes the light will enter me through the top of my head. Or if it's not the sun, I'll try to think like, what is the brightest, biggest, most amazing star in the galaxy? And I'll envision that light coming. And as I breathe, and I breathe it in, and it permeates my body. And then as I exhale, I send all of this white and or golden light out into the entire world around me, stretching the entire planet. Like, this is a meditation that I put myself through to feel better about the world and to feel like, listen, my vibrational frequency is either real or it isn't. And then I'm saying, I've been saying it's real, and I have all these experiences that tell me it's real. So I have all these experiences that tell me it's real. I have all these years of knowing that it's real. Well, of course, there's got to be some kind of impact. There's got to be some kind of value to me envisioning this light coming in and then envisioning sending and sharing and spreading that light to everyone and everything around me. Anyone that's in pain, whether it's psychological or physical, anyone that's in fear, anyone that's in uncertainty, anyone that's in doubt, anyone that's in a situation that they don't want to be, any aspect of the world that's in a situation that isn't fully light. I am sending that light, and you might find by engaging in that process, you breathe in. I actually just realized I think I'm describing the easiest meditation ever, so that's why, of course, it's mine. um, which anyone who knows, that's one of the something that I offer for people that after they opt into my book bonuses. It's funny. Like, I have so many of these things. I remember, oh, that's my thing. Of course it is. But you might find that when you do something like that, it's going to make you feel a lot better. Regarding the social media, all I'd say in this, I know that you want to engage and you want to defend someone's honor, and that's up to you if you want to. But just realize and have an awareness that when you do that, you are intermingling your vibration with that. Whereas, another way of thinking about it is like, listen, these people, they're going to continue to evolve. They're on their path, with or without your contribution to their mindset. They're hopefully on their way to something better. If social media is holding you back in that way too much, me personally, I'm just going to take my foot off the gas on it. Um, but that's just me. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but just understand, like, if you keep engaging with that, not only are you prompting your social media algorithm to keep putting that in front of you, you're also prompting the universal vibrational frequency algorithm to put stuff in front of you. So strategically, do a little bit, but not too much. Do you know what I mean? With that in mind, how are we doing here? I wanted to make sure I've got another thing for you here, another method for you. So quickly check and see how people are doing. It looks like everyone here is still good. Okay. Another method. I promised more than one method for you. So, given that I just answered this question and I just gave, like, my meditation perspective, another thing that you want to do is, like, I came up with this recently. I call it the tuning fork method. And anyone that doesn't know what a tuning fork is, you could just go on Google, like, type in Google and look up what a tuning fork is. And for something like this, you almost want to picture like a tuning fork that's like kind of like within you, that's attached to your vibration, and understanding, like, whenever you give your attention to anything, you know that you're activating the vibration of it. And it doesn't matter if you're remembering something, it doesn't matter if you're observing something, if you're dreaming it up, and it could be a real memory, it could be a fantasy. The vibrational frequency of this thing, whatever it is, it's going to integrate with you. It's going to modify. It's also going to modify your vibration. It's going to pull everything towards you. So the tuning fork method is basically a recognition of this, because tuning forks, you take a mallet and you, like, with a little mallet, you pound the thing, it vibrates, it makes a sound or a frequency or tone. you want to almost like, say, okay, what is the tone that I want to like vibrate at? And the tone could be the energy of love. It could be health and vitality for yourself. It could be health and vitality for the world. It could be abundance. It could be money. It could be whatever it might be. Think of a concept. It can be a visual concept. It could be just a word or an idea. And imagine like, you know, a huge mallet like pounding or gently hitting this tuning fork within you that controls or integrates with your vibrational frequency to just magnetically push that or vibrationally push that out and magnetically bring it back to you like you're you're hitting the tune of abundance or you're hitting the tune of health or vitality by visualizing this tuning fork, this massive huge like it's the size of your body, like attach your vibration hitting it with a mallet. It just enhances the visceral feeling of your vibration really being there and really spreading out and emanating out to the universe. So it's a very simple, basic one. But again, those are the best methods in my opinion. The most user friendly, the easiest ones to implement. That kind of thing. That's what I'm really on board with. Awesome. Thank you everyone so much so far. Okay, how are we doing here? I got a lot more here. Hoping you guys are doing okay here. Actually, I got I think three things. We'll see. I might save something for a later live. But there's one. Actually, I might save something for a later live. There's one thing I want to make sure to get in for you guys today. This is I want to talk about Google. I want to talk about YouTube a little bit here, which I love. I love doing like I love how cool is it that YouTube exists that and they're so successful that they put all their resources into making this kind of technology that we can do this together and that we can be in this moment together. Like how cool is that? Let's talk about Google. In fact, quick little aside. Um, everyone knows the like $1 million. They know how many zeros are in a million. If you don't, there's 6 zeros in a million. If you write out a million, 1, 0, 0, 0, comma 0, 0, 0. There are 9 zeros in a billion. There's 12 zeros in a trillion, and there's 15 zeros in a quadrillion. Now, I bring this up because Google was actually named or renamed. It used to be, I forgot the term. It had like the word back in it or something, but it was named pretty early on. Google, it was pronounced Googol, which was it was shorthand for Googleplex. And Googleplex is a one followed by 100 zeros. And the whole reason that they chose this name, this is about like organizing, like basically it was imparting the fact that they organize a virtually infinite amount of web information. So they have a Googleplex of information. It's not just a million or a billion or a trillion or quadrillion. It's a Googleplex, like 100 zeros. All right, I bring that up because this was the mindset that Google had when they were building out Gmail. And the reason I wanted to bring up Gmail, it was really important here, is because I heard a really interesting story um, on a YouTube short, if I'm not mistaken. Again, YouTube is teaching me about Google and all this and that. And it turns out that when Gmail first started, obviously, they wanted more users to adopt it and they wanted to figure out this thing. They wanted more customers. They wanted people, spreading the word. They wanted to be the winners, right? And they had to find every single competitive advantage that they could possibly put in. Every single competitive advantage that they could do to make sure that Gmail was the winner over whether it's Yahoo or Hotmail or AOL back then or whatever it might be. Gmail had to be like the trusted source. Okay, how do we make our email better than others? What are the things that are important to users? Well, loading time, right? Like if you have accounts in Yahoo and you have accounts in Hotmail and you have accounts in Gmail, which is the one that when you're in a rush and you want to get something and you put in your username and password, which one loads up faster? Which one actually operates smoother? What Gmail did, what Google did, was they determined that when people are first signing into their email, and they successfully insert their username before they even do the password. They put in their username. There was this very reasonably high. It was a reasonably high statistical probability that they were going to successfully put in their password without any mistakes. The fact that they put in their username means it's statistically high probability that they're going to put in their password also. And in recognition of this, and in a desire to have a better user experience, as soon as they put in their username on the back end, behind the scenes, Gmail was already loading up their data. It was already in the process of loading up their new emails. So that by the time they were done typing and they clicked enter on their password, it was already in the process of loading things up. So it had the appearance of a competitive advantage. It had the appearance of loading up faster. It had the appearance and then the actual reality of an improved, enhanced user experience. Okay, why am I talking about this? Why am I telling you about how smart Gmail was to notice that when you're putting in your username, it's time to load things up in the background because you're probably going to get your password on the first time, and we want to look better. I'm bringing this up because this is what the universe does. I want you to think of like you as a Gmail account. And I want you to think of you be engaging in these manifesting methods as you putting in your username. And I want you to think of the continuation of these manifesting methods. Thinking about continually doing it with a good attitude, only feeling good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both, without worrying about the when, without worrying about the how, without worrying about the ifs, without concerning yourself, without putting roadblocks up, without complicating things more than they need to. When you're putting in your energetic username on this, the universe is recognizing this right away instantly, and it's already loading things up into your user experience before you're even done putting in your password. This is what you want to visualize here. Every time you do something through a manifesting method, I want you to see the universe as like this massive Gmail database that's loading up what you want. It's loading up your good. It's loading up the house that you want, the car that you want, the job that you want, the soulmate that you want, the money that you want, the result that you want, the outcome, the promotion, the whatever it might be, the experience. It's loading up the experience. This is the magic of what the universe actually is. This is the magic what the universe does. That's why, like, as soon as I saw that example, as soon as I saw that story, I'm like, I have to share this with people because it instantly clicked with me, like, oh my God, this is what the universe does. This is why sometimes things they seem like they come out of the blue. This is why sometimes you get inspired to a thought like you never would have thought of that thing. It never would have come to mind to do that thing in that way without first engaging in those methods on a daily basis because you queued things up. You got your subconscious mind receptive to the idea. You got the universe moving things in the background for you. You got all these things in the right direction. This is the key that you want to remember. How are we doing so far, guys? Just quick little check-in. I want to see if there's any comment. The comment below, is this stuff like resonating with you? Is it clicking? Is it connecting? Should I be giving you more here today? Should I close up the live or do we want a little bit more here? Like am I giving you like is it too much at once? It's too much. Like, do you need to digest this? Should I be doing a live tomorrow instead? But I want to see, like, feel free to comment. Like, is this stuff really literally like connecting with you? Because it should. It really should. There should be something to this. And I hope I haven't missed super chats while I was passionately going in this. Um, but that's like the big piece. Okay. So Dave just said, any chance you could say that again? Luckily, there is a replay on all of this because, wow, if only Kiona, thank you so much for that super chat. If only I could say it again. I'll tell you guys a quick little funny thing before giving you a little bit more. Um, I was given like I went on an interview. I did an interview earlier today, and it was supposed to be like this half-hour deal, and it turned into like a 90-minute deal. So I'm just like, hope I've got honey here and I've got water. I'm just keeping my voice, like trying to hold it up to keep things going. But I did want to give you a little bit more. Um, let's see here. I don't want to interrupt you. Okay, so a little more for you here, and thank you guys so much. And again, I mean, the people I see, the viewers here, there was not definitely nearly as many when I started. All of this is in a replay. If you think that you missed something, once I'm done with this stream, you'll be able to go in and watch the whole thing all over again. And I highly, highly recommend you watch yesterday's because I went into some really important things yesterday. I demonstrated how at a certain power of magnitude, if it's true, thinking good for 5 minutes a day, how it would take you 25 hours of feeling bad to offset the good that you do for only 5 minutes a day. I showed how a certain math through a certain power in mathematical magnitude, how thinking 5 minutes a day would take you a full week of feeling bad to offset that vibrational momentum. So you could check out my video that I did yesterday about it in the morning, or my live about it where I talk about it. Really good, important stuff that I think will give you a really good perspective on what you need to do here. Mm, okay, cool. All right, so I prepared to like emails where I already gave the answer. Like I already wrote somebody, but I figured these might be like really good just to share with you, just because of like the theme of this live and what I want to do. So just to give you a little more, and I changed names because the I changed the names of the people on this just because it seemed like they were giving me like a little bit intimate details. So I don't want to put them on blast if or embarrass them if someone they know might see this. So just in case I change their name. So this first one's from Edward, right? You know, wink, wink, nod, nod. Edward wrote me a little while back. He said, "Hey Andrew, hope you're well. I was following your work for a while and then I decided to do your 90-day program. For a few months, I've been working in visualizing towards finding my future wife. And I was really visualizing it in many details, grateful for it. And suddenly, right at the first day of the month, which I was imagining it would come, it came. Everything seemed like it was a fit on many different levels. It was the first time in years. It was the first time in years I actually get excited about a girl and I feel like we connect physically, spiritually, and emotionally. She seemed like to it. And for her, it was also a very big fit. Had a third date where things were amazing and we opened up and we talked to each other and we really connected. And then the next day, all of a sudden, without any logic or explanation whatsoever, she said that we're not a fit and we left and she left. What do you make of this type of situation, Andrew, where you've worked and visualized and did everything and actually came as you wanted in the time that you wanted, but then it just abruptly left? Is this a matter of going through the program again or and visualizing everything? What should be the approach here? Okay, so I'm going to read back the reply I gave Edward. I said, "Hi, Edward. From the looks of it, from my perspective, the universe just handed you one giant raindrop to encourage you to keep pressing forward with what you've been doing. Meaning, you're doing what you're supposed to do. And as long as you're genuinely enjoying the methods as you do them, and you're not trying to rush or force anything, which I worried he was, which we both know would install a frequency of that's pulling you in the opposite direction of what you want to. It's just a matter of sticking with it. To give you a little more, while I wasn't there in this specific circumstance, and this has nothing to do with the law of attraction, so take what I say here with a grain of salt. It sounds like you may have overshared on something in particular on that last date that was a deal breaker for her. For whatever reason, it was a deal breaker. So, did you say too much too soon before she had a chance to develop strong enough feelings for you? I honestly don't know. And again, I'm not like a love coach or anything. But keep in mind, she is not the exact person that you were visualizing. And I assume the universe has a way better match for you. Now, I of course appreciate that this might not be so fun to hear. You've done all this work and you thought that you finally manifested this. And here it feels like the rug was swept out. Here it feels like the rug was swept out from under you. And while the following isn't the best metaphor in your specific case, I'm reminded of an example that I wrote about in Just Feel Good, where I mentioned someone was desperate for money and they got an interview for a job. Actually, this wasn't in Just Feel Good. This was, I believe it was something else that I did, something I wrote. But I had the situation where someone had an interview for a job that would pay them $90,000 a year. And then someone else purposely made them look bad that wanted the job instead. And so this person didn't get the job. Now, normally, they might obviously be really upset about this. However, what if they knew that a few weeks from now, they would get a job paying $200,000 per year instead, with way better parking, a much easier commute, friendlier colleagues, a better office culture, a faster track to even more promotions and even more money, and a wonderful view from their corner office? I imagine that they would be probably then be happy and grateful that they got screwed out of that other job first, because how much better is it for them only a few weeks later? I bring this up because this is the kind of perspective that might serve you very well in this situation. So, yes, You can run through Gravity of the Cosmos again if it served you well and it continued to make you doing this on a daily basis more fun and enjoyable. Or you can do any routine that you like that includes visualizations or scripting or gratitude. But be encouraged that the work that you put in is taking you this far. And understand it's critical not to let desperation or lack or impatience pull you back now, and instead lean into gratitude and a sense of abundance and ease and appreciation and confidence from, again, this massive raindrop as you continue forward. Because again, she wasn't the exact person. He was expecting something, but it wasn't that. So um that was what he wrote. And um there was another piece where like he kind of like wrote back and clarified and seemed like I was like accurate about the overshare or whatever. And in terms of that, I just, you know, we followed through on that and that was fine. Okay. How's everyone doing here? We still going strong? Someone mentioning the ultimate abundance meditation method. Thank you very much for that, Carrie. Thank you again for everyone who's Dirk just said 2 more hours would be good. If only my voice could do 2 more hours. But I'm gonna go a little bit more for you here. This is really okay, cool. So one thing, this was actually a big topic I wanted to cover for you. And this is because this is a confusion that people have. The idea of whether belief is really enough to manifest something. Because we put so much weight on belief, myself included, by the way. And my answer to this question, I'm kind of reading off notes here a little bit. The answer of whether belief is really enough to manifest something, the answer is yes and no. See, the problem is sometimes we try to shoehorn belief into the process and we end up working against ourselves. We try to force beliefs into our perspective because, we're told, we believe that they're absolutely required. And yes, they have a huge impact, but only when the beliefs are not intermingled with other contradictory beliefs that we don't even know are competing with them. So belief is this really weird thing where, like, if you're aligned on your beliefs, that's one thing. But if you're not, it will hold you back without you realizing it. That's why, even though I see the value of belief, I don't often like try to pressure people into trying to make that happen, because when you do the visualizations and you feel good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both, that's spoon feeding the information to your subconscious mind so that the belief part takes care of itself. But I bring this up because I got an email from this guy, Jason. He said, "Hey, Andrew, I normally do not do this for a number of reasons, at least of which you may or may not have time for it, or replies are blocked." Little does Jason know that, like, I put my schedule around answering emails for people because I want to serve them. He said, "That being said, on the one hand, I'm a big fan of the law of attraction. On the other, I hardly ever use it because, by my standards, I have everything I could ever want. But others see me as broken, pathetic." It's interesting that he says that. Well, I think this is good. That's going to change anyway. But for now, I'm fine. One thing happened this year that has puzzled me. When I was young, I could never find any woman, even though my mother always told me I was good looking and should be able to get anybody. That doesn't matter, except for the last year, I developed a strong online romance with a lady who I just fell in love with. She was quite wealthy and she was teaching me how to invest. But before anything could happen, she wrote to me and she said, "I don't want to tell you that. I didn't want to tell you this, but now I have to. I have to go to the hospital." She said she was sick. She sent me pictures from the hospital. Then she faded away. 3 days later, she was out of the hospital and on her way home, she had a serious car accident and she showed me pictures of her broken leg. Then she faded away and I never heard from her again. This is, again, I have my own interpretation that obviously she's lying and making up stories, but whatever. Continuing Jason's email, he said, "The thing is, at night before going to sleep, I always dreamed of spending time with her, not because of the law of attraction, but because I always thought we would be together. There was no doubt in my mind." He said there was no doubt in her mind. I think he meant to say there was no doubt in my mind. "It is puzzling to me how it had to happen this way when I just naturally assumed we would always be together. I don't know what to think. I suppose I can think maybe in her mind something would happen, or maybe unconsciously I believe that was a failure with women, but I can't think of any way I violated any principles. I wasn't trying to make anything happen. I just believed fully that it would. Never entertained a doubt." Notice what he said there. "I just believed fully, never entertained a doubt. I wasn't trying, wondering if you have any thoughts on this if you have time." Okay, guys, sorry, by the way, I'm doing such a bad job at reading these emails. I'm definitely running out of steam on this because I've been talking for so much for all day here. But here's my reply to Jason. Said, "Hi, Jason. I don't know that I will articulate this well enough. And I must say that my reply should be taken with a grain of salt because I'm operating under limited information from your email. I'm sure that there are other key details that I am not aware of, but I'll give you a possible explanation as to why you're not with this person. In order to do this, I'm going to use examples with people that I assume have nothing in common with you or this woman or your situation. This is because I'm using examples of people that have nothing to do with you because I want to give you an example taken so that you can better process this without any. With that in mind, the mechanics of attraction and are more complicated than we realize, which is why, strategically speaking, the most efficient thing I feel we can usually do is simplify the way we approach them and into their most accessible form. But no matter how much we simplify them for our own purposes, the mechanics behind the scenes, the mechanics behind them are still always complicated nonetheless. So imagine this: 25-year-old man, let's call him John, falls in love with a 27-year-old woman, and we're going to call her Jane. John believes with all of his heart that he will be with Jane. It is therefore easy, by a somewhat incomplete understanding of the law of attraction, to assume that this belief is all that is necessary in order for this to successfully manifest. The law of attraction, however, manifests things into reality as a result of vibrational frequency, with the belief of something only being just one singular aspect of this frequency. It may be an important aspect, but it's not the only one. So again, perhaps John believes that he'll be with Jane. But what if John also believes that he's going to end up with a blonde woman while Jane is brunette? What if John also believes that he's going to end up with a cheerful woman while Jane is melancholy? What if John is a highly positive person and it's therefore in his frequency to magnetically attract other highly positive people? But what he doesn't realize is that Jane is actually usually a negative person, although she's usually good at hiding it. Maybe she can hide this part of her personality from other people, but she can't hide it from the universe. Vibration is vibration. This is why I'm such a huge proponent of leaning in more general directions while dwelling on specifics only if they genuinely feel good, and being open to the possibility that the universe might choose something else to happen in a different way and at a different time. The truth is, we are all only so aware of our own vibrational frequencies, but these frequencies will still attract to their truth, regardless of our expectations. This is all a long winded way of saying that your belief was only one aspect of your vibration that the universe has been responding to. But if any other aspects of your vibration, including other beliefs, are in conflict with this belief without you realizing it, this could be one explanation as to why this specific expected result did not actually manifest for you. Jason replied, giving me a little bit more. And I just told him, not sure. I also replied to him after saying, not sure if this helps. And not that I'm implying that you're doing this, but what helps me is that I never seek perfection or complete control of the situation. I instead just keep leaning more and more into feeling good where I can, and then and invite more good to come to me in any easy or beneficial way that the universe wants to. Okay, guys, I'm definitely out of steam. Let's see what we got here. Trudy asked, "Do you think the flow state grows your manifestations?" So, Trudy, not that I would try to force a flow state, but being in flow, it certainly, it I'm hesitant to say that it accelerates things, but when you're in flow, there's no blockages, there's no obstacles. You're not blocking your energy off or anything. So don't worry about like getting into a perfect flow. Don't stress yourself out of that. But if you are in a flow, enjoy it. Like just keep going with it. Keep seeing doing what you do. Will my interview from earlier today be available? I think so, Fred. Again, like when I do these interviews, like it's the podcast, it's the podcast host that they're in control of it. So whenever he uploads it, if he uploads it, he'll give me the link and I'll email it to people. But I try to do plenty of interviews, so hopefully there'll be more. Okay. Wow. Guys, I'm going to try to soldier through one more email just because it's so on point, but this is going to be the end of the stream. Like this final email, this final question, I'm going to try to get through it just because it's really valuable. Thank you for your patience with my voice. Okay. Anyone that gets email from me knows that, I'll send out automated messages with anything that I think is going to be valuable for people. And Tiffany, we'll call her Tiffany, just in case she doesn't want to share her name. Uh, Tiffany sent me an email in response to one of them where I was talking about gratitude. And she said, "Can I be honest? I feel a little debunked. Someone that I respect entered a debate with me about whether or not manifestation is actually a real thing. We talked about the science of metaphysics and the reticular activating system, which in my eyes makes manifestation sort of a birthright in a sense to everybody because everyone is born with biology of the reticular activating system, which you guys know that's basically that you noticing things, um, like it pulls in stuff that you're focused on, which will put us on the path that we need to manifest our desires. But has anyone ever left you with a feeling just a little debunked and a little zapped of energy? I'm trying to recover from it and thinking about all the times that incredible things have happened for me that I know I put intentional focus on. Just wondering if you, as an author, ever face criticism. Thank you for your honesty and thanks for hearing me." That's from Tiffany. So here's what I replied to Tiffany with. I said, "Hey, Tiffany, you technically asked two different questions. So let's address them one at a time. Feeling zapped can, in my experience, be a common occurrence for those who are in a higher vibration after spending time around a lower vibration person. I am not saying that this is what is specifically happening with you, nor am I making a judgment on whether either you are high or low. I'm simply giving you one theory. To answer your more pertinent question, anyone can be talked out of something if they give it enough consideration. This does not mean that the new viewpoint is correct, nor does it mean that the previous viewpoint, or either of them for that matter, is correct. But let's make it simple. Your relationship with the law of attraction, in terms of how you view it as a concept, it's operating on two potential levels: belief and knowing. We can believe somebody's secondhand perspective that they share with us, but we can only know from what we personally do or don't experience. Bringing us my best way of answering this: what do you know from your own experience about manifestation? If you've experienced manifesting, which you said that you did, that should be all that matters. You have it experientially. And if you didn't, that doesn't even necessarily mean that manifesting has been debunked, as that person said. In that case, it is merely something that you don't know yet at this time. And it's up to you whether you want to believe it or not in the meantime. Again, it sounds like you know, not believe, but know, because you have experience with this. And perhaps a good solution is for you to take comfort in that and not worry about another dissenting perspective, no matter how convincing they might try to be. Now, me personally, because you asked, I am not concerned with other with whether others with I'm not concerned with whether others agree with me or not. If they would like to hear my perspective, I share it, but it is always up to them how or if they would really like to receive it. Anything more than that is a waste of energy, in my humble opinion. And that was my answer. And the reason, guys, why I wanted to cover that is because in that email, I feel I articulated it really well, where I gave the difference between believing something and knowing something. Believing is at best secondhand, whereas knowing comes from your actual experience. And that's the kind of thing that you want to keep in mind. Um, I was considering, if this live was not going long enough, if I didn't have enough juice, I don't know why I thought that would happen. I was considering reviewing stuff from the prior live, but the prior live already exists. You just go in and watch it for yourself. So I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to watch the other live. I want you to encourage, check out all the points I made. I'm going to be trying to be more intentional again. I really want to make a good impact for you. And I've been working on a lot of stuff this summer, and I've been really been sorting, like, how can I do something where with all the increasing emails coming in, I can still serve people. I can still be of value. If somebody super chatted and I didn't see it, thank you so much. If someone asked me a question I didn't see it, please email me. Um again, I'm working on stuff. I'm trying to think of a way that you guys have a different level of access to me that will benefit you. And it's not supposed to be an access that's like required, because again, the book should be enough. And then like my emails and follow up on these email stuff, these are just to support that. But if anyone like has very pertinent things that come to mind that they just need addressed personally, I'm trying to work on better, affordable ways. I mean, I have to admit, someone had asked about, like, consulting one on one. I have to be candid. Like, I cost money just because my time is so limited. I'm trying to think of affordable ways where people could have access to me, where they have an actual conversation with me in groups where they ask me something, I just tell them, and they have that benefit. But either way, I'm going to try to continue to keep going in the direction of offering value. And Dirk asked about a mastermind event in Las Vegas. One day, I hope to do an event. When I do it, my first go at it is probably gonna be, like, at a beach with a beach somewhere, but we'll see. But that's in the back of my mind. I gotta make sure that the numbers make sense. It's gotta be affordable for people and also make sense, financially. But thank you for asking that, Dirk. It's one thing in the back of my mind, like an event or something for people, but I'm actually thinking of something right now that might have faster, better access without people having to travel. We'll see. Um, anyway, we're in the rambling point. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. Thank you for being here with me. Um, wow, I almost went an hour and a half. I went an hour and 25 minutes. I almost want to keep talking for 5 minutes just to get it going, but I'm going to let everyone get on with their day. Please try one of the methods I taught you today, the faucet frequency freshener. I got that right without looking, or the tuning fork method, or try the buddy blitz, or the pancanthery method, or there was another one that I'd mentioned, the reality star method from yesterday's live. Review my videos from this week. I try to add some value there, and hopefully, Valentine, I got something better than that on the way. But you'll hopefully you'll see. Um, Something where problem with Facebook is they could shut you down. They can sweep the rug out from. Valentine asked about a Facebook group, and the problem with Facebook is I've had so many friends. They put so much blood, sweat, equity, intention, effort into a Facebook group, and then Facebook changes their standards on them, and they lose their group. And they didn't break any rules. It's not like they went against the terms of service, but necessarily. They just, something happened. There was a change in policy. There was a change in something. People would lose groups. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to put people in a situation where they're depending on Facebook to not to sweep the rug out from under me or them. So good idea. Thank you. I have a better one that I'm working on. Um, Thank you again, everybody. Enjoy videos. I'll hopefully have more videos for you in the coming week, but check out the videos I just had here. Check out my old interviews. Check out whatever you think is gonna motivate you in a positive direction. We just spent an hour to get and a half together here. You only need 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes choosing any method that resonates with you. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you. I'll hopefully see you on another live soon or something else. Take care.